Welcome back, Mark.
We're good. We can continue with the show now.
Mitch Falcon throwing some sweet concept art in there. Very cool stuff. But yeah, we were just talking about how like the ridiculousness that could have been the fourth movie, or from some of the concepts of how they might have been able to play in that realm of, you know.
See, I know nothing about the fourth movie. I'm literally copy and pasting Mitch's link right now, and I'm digging through it as we speak. Jesus, is this real?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you're in for a treat of something.
I'm getting, oh man, I'm only halfway down the page and I'm blown away.
I'm going to pull it up.
And this was, I'm just scrolling through and looking at the pictures. This is what we do every month when we do this show. It's me getting caught up on old Ninja Turtle stuff that you guys obviously are very much experts in. Is this the fourth movie as far as this was after the time travel movie?
Yeah.
I think
ridiculous.
But I mean, I think part of the reason it wasn't made was because of part 3. I think that they thought it was going to be much more successal than it was.
Number 3 tanked as far as their expectations were going to be because of the success for 1 and 2, which is a bummer because, like, just think of the ridiculousness that could have resulted from it. You know what I mean?
Dude,
like,
I mean, I think the main piece missing from 3, and the thing is, 3 in and of itself wasn't so bad. It's just that, like, it's too set a bar that I didn't.
It wasn't a bad movie. It was a bad turtle movie.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, but it's more. It's also like for a movie that's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it didn't focus as much on like the mutant piece to it. And
absolutely, you're exactly right.
And it could have been like this could have been a fun opportunity to bring in Usagi in some way. It would be a stretch.
I'm stuck on that as well. I don't understand how this fourth movie would have worked. How do you transition from the time traveling? How do you transition from that to now all of this? How do you explain that Splinter? The notes here say that here's a design idea for the unfilmed fourth live action movie. We wanted to give Splinter a much more active part in battles that the Turtles fought, and so he was going to have the ability to morph into a big, muscular, super rat mutant type thing. How do you explain that 4 movies in?
The same way that you explain this. The ninjas spent the whole third movie as samurai.
But also that Splinter was similar to a version they had in the Mirage, too. So it's not so far off base. Again, taking its inspiration from like popular movies at the time, like even like that spider character, right? Felt like it was like straight out of Terminator. It looked to me like this was like they're going for a darker, again, what the Ninja Turtles, Fred Wolf, in the seasons 9, 10, it became a little bit darker, a little bit more grim, and that was taking inspiration from Batman the Animated Series. It was taking inspiration from other successful stuff at the time.
I feel like this would be the third series of Lost, where they were like, what can we do now? Grab everything. Just grab everything. Smoke monsters. Yeah, let's throw it. Like it's one of those moments of looking back at it. I would have loved to have seen what an absolute cluster it would have been. And I feel like it would have been one of those movies that you look back on and you're like, man, remember how crazy that thing was? We should pop that on. Because I don't know. I would have been incredibly interested in it. But it's Turtles, so of course I would have been. Sound off in the comments in the chat, folks, if you have any idea of how you would have reacted, because I'm pretty sure I would have been eating a pudding pie at the theater opening night, being all amped up on sugar, watching the catastrophic madness that would have been. Because all 3 of us are collectors, whether we started that way, got into it later, or whatnot. Mr. Geeky, what was your favorite figure that you had growing up?
Growing up is different than now. I've got some.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I guess growing up, I had a couple. The first one that stands out to me in terms of the one I remember having that I used to play with all the time was Slash. I loved the feel. I loved the color of it. I loved that smirk he had on his face too, and I loved the texture. Just like you could see like his little like creases and the little bumps. It was very different than the other Turtles, and it was fun and imagination wise to try and.
It was visceral compared to the other Turtles. Like there was so much more detail on that than most of the Turtles that had been out at that time.
Right. Well, I mean, we didn't know much about that character either, and it's like you fill in the gaps. As a kid, you fill in the gaps. You're like, why does he have, like what are all these things he's got? What's the story with this like serrated knife he's got? What's the story with this like crazy belt? I mean, it all is like why does he have an eye that's a yellow dot versus whatever?
Yeah.
It plays to the imagination, and I love that. And even as an adult, I love that too. That I see the joy that some of these figures bring to my kids also, in terms of them. In some cases, I like to try and not have them see anything beforehand before I present them with a new figure, to kind of get a sense of like, what do you think this character is? And then like, okay, you're wrong. But you're wrong, but I hope you had fun being wrong. But yeah, I mean, so Slash was, I think, one of my all-time favorites. Monty Moose, I really liked. That's was a solid choice. That was, and honestly, it's like the more I think about it now, the more I think that was meant to be Dirk Savage. Is Dirk Savage? The mutant hunter? Yeah. It had the same motif. It had the same look. It felt to me like maybe this was like meant to be the future of Dirk. That even on the front of the package, I remember seeing like, I'm gonna catch a mutant or something like that. I'm ad-libbing that. I don't remember what the actual
it probably was alliteration and a lovely slightly insensitive joke as it could be when you go back like, oh
yep.
But so okay, that was your favorite figure as a kiddo. About today
I'm loving, I mean, almost all of NECA stuff, but I mean,
I was going to ask, are you still asking about Playmates, or are you asking about just every figure in general?
I mean, we could break it down further. We could go Playmates NECA Super 7.
Whatever you guys want.
All right. I mean,
I'm good with whatever. We got all night.
Playmates, I also liked. Okay, so was the Flash Forward? I'm trying to remember where they had the Dark Turtles. Those were some of my favorite.
That was Fast Forward, yeah.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite, because it was like, in a way, you were getting the second Mutation Turtles finally, And I remember watching. It was much different versions, right? I mean, they looked very different than what they look like in. And I'm assuming, and I'm hoping that NECA will eventually get to those two as like oversized. But
that'd be cool.
And Carter, mutant form Carter, yeah. Anyways, I'm probably in the minority on that.
For reference, what he's talking about from the Fast Forward line is these guys.
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
Those are awesome.
And they were in, like, how would the mutation know to be in their color? It's like there's just so much nonsense about this, but at the same time, you don't care.
Combined the turtle with the bandana.
Yeah, the IDW Ghostbusters stuff that was tied into that too. Did you follow any of that? Where it was like Darius Dunn where he became this crossover one where he became like this entity, and then he helped like to connect in those spirits of these other, and bring
them all together to the main plane.
And essentially they were those Fast Forward turtles.
Yeah, so they were the Dark Turtles, totally. And so the writer of that series is Eric Burnham. He's a very dear friend of mine. And when I saw that, I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, no, I love that series." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Nice. Like, now obviously, you had a little love coming from the artist, of course. So, but yeah, no. So, okay, we got that far. So we're good on Playmates. So let's move over to modern times. Let's go NECA first. Coming already out, whatever. Thank you, Mitchell.
The Stone Soldiers 2-pack. I mean, that's
really.
I waited on cartoon versions of those forever, and so when I finally had those, and I think I have them behind me here too.
That's a good call.
I'm excited to eventually open those and like actually have them in my hands. But I've just been staring at it and kind of waiting for the right time. But it's just looking at a work of art. I mean, it seems like it just jumped straight off of the screen, and I get a little smile every time I look at it. I'm just like, yeah,
they are insanely posable, I will say, because I was expecting jack crap for the articulation of those bigs, like just because they're so bulky. And like I think legit the first photo I ever took of them was them breakdancing, because I tried to do them like running and they fell over, and I'm like, wait a second. And so I reposed them, and it's a fantastic pick for sure. But I'm actually going to turn this on to my co-host as well, Dan.
Oh yeah.
What about you? What's that NECA figure that just trips your trigger?
I gotta go with Toka and Razor. I'm gonna cop out and pick two of them. I haven't opened them. Yeah. At this point, I haven't opened them. At this point, to me, there's still one figure. I've been waiting my entire life for those figures. They're, screen accurate to the fine detail of Razor's fur is all in the right place. Like, I couldn't ask for better figures. Just like you, Geeky, I can't wait to unbox those figures and get them in my hands. I just haven't had the time to do so because it takes so much work to go through those boxes and get them out of there. But those figures, when they announced those at Comic-Con and they finally showed the images of those two with Super Shredder, I mean, my turtle collecting was like, okay, after as long as I get those 3, I'm done. I'm out. I can die happy.
I'm throwing it out there. Those 3 are front and center. Like, I have a movie diorama and a toon diorama, and like everything about that 2-pack is insane. The like really stupid thing that like pushed it over the edge for me is the box of donuts. And the fact that you have the crushed cruller that has the ice cube painted in. Like, the articulated eyebrows, good call, Mr. Ryan Clark, but it's all about the donuts for me. Like, it's such a stupid little accessory, but I have in Toka's hand, in his clawed hand,
pre-fight donuts.
He has the crushed donut.
Love it.
Just in his paw, and it makes me so happy.
And it's those little details, right? That's what I love, I think, about this line, is that it's like such attention to detail, and such like, it's about the fans too, and it's about like the deep dive stuff that really is like, it's a love letter to the people who collect.
And dude, that one, I got one that it embodies exactly what you're saying, and mine's kind of a weird 2-pack because it's something that we waited for a very long time. We had many figures of both characters, but Splinter and Baxter, the 2-pack there, because do you have any idea how many custom Splinters I've made for people?
I'm sure there's never been a good one, right?
You know, and that plus, you know, the mat, the props, the Baxter Stockman, just too sweet, is very nice. But that leaves us with one category. We've gone NECA, we've gone Playmates, Mr. Geeky. We're going to that higher price point right behind you, actually, Super7. Whether you have it or don't, what is the Super7 figure for you?
Well, okay, I mean, off the bat, I'll say I really like this Mutagen Man. I was wondering how they were going to pull it off in such an amazing way, and they did really, really well. Off the new wave, and I don't have it yet, but I saw the photo and I was like, I think it was literally 10 seconds of me seeing the photo and clicking buy on Big Bad, but it's Ray Fillet. Yes, it's the toy, and yes, it reminds me of the early toy that I had, but it's also has a look and feel of Archie incarnation a bit as well, and it just looked beautiful. I like the idea of having new Mutanimals and like original Mutanimals, having the whole group. I'm holding out hope for the idea of getting a Jaguar, getting a Dreadmon at some point down the road here too.
Pigeon Pete, baby.
That's the modern incarnation too, and like there's some really cool ones there too. Sally Pride in particular. Oh wow, that would be like such a fun one. And Old Hob, but like that was always a big pet peeve of mine with the original, is that you had Leatherhead, you had Ray Fillet, you had Mondo, you had, it's like you had most of these characters. There was 2 that you didn't. You had Wingnut and Screw Loose 2, and we never got that. At one point, they were going to be doing a Jaguar character that I saw was going to be released, and it got to the prototype stage, and it just never came out.
Didn't make the cut.
Which it wasn't my favorite look of Jaguar, so I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I want that. I feel like we'll come back to this, and that's kind of like as maybe like the character that you always wish you had, kind of thing.
But we'll be coming back. No worries.
Feel free to join the conversation in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure to sub up, give the video a like, and share with anyone you know who appreciates these types of videos. Also, make sure to check out the description for additional links that lead to some similar expanded content we think you'll also probably enjoy quite a bit. We realize you could have gone anywhere, and you chose to nerd out with us, and we appreciate that. So, as always, I am Mr. Geeky, and until next week, Turtle Speeky, keep it geeky, folks.